Welcome to the World Trade Webcast. I'm Greg Sandler, president of thinkglobal.com, the B2B network for global trade leads. Our guest this week on the World Trade Webcast is Rita Ramalho, manager of the Doing Business project for the World Bank. Over the next 5 days, we'll be reviewing highlights of the Doing Business 2015 report, Going Beyond Efficiency. Rita, welcome to the World Trade Webcast.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we're really happy to have you here. And today we're going to talk about the report, Doing Business 2015, Going Beyond Efficiency. It's a World Bank Group flagship publication. 2015 marks the 12th in a series of annual reports measuring the regulations that enhance business activity and those that constrain it. The report presents quantitative indicators on business regulations and the protection of property rights that can be compared across 189 economies, from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe, and over time. The report also measures regulations affecting 11 areas of life of a business. 10 of these areas are included in this year's ranking on the ease of doing business, including starting a business, dealing with construction permits, getting electricity, registering property, getting credit, protecting minority investors, paying taxes, trading across borders, enforcing contracts, and resolving insolvency. Doing business also measures labor market regulation, but that's not included in this year's report. So with that overview, Rita, let's start by talking about the key findings in the 2015 report and what's new or different from last year.
This year's report, Doing Business 2015, is substantially different from last year. We expanded 3 of the topics that we cover, so 3 out of the 10 that you mentioned a few moments ago, we expanded. So we expanded getting credit, protecting minority investors, and resolving insolvency. So these are all topics that look at different aspects of regulation that affect businesses in those different areas. And we expanded to look at areas that are not specifically just on efficiency, but also try to measure the quality of regulations, and hence the name of Going Beyond Efficiency for this year's subtitle of the report. In addition, we also expanded the data in 11 economies that have more than 100 million people to cover the second business city in addition to the first business city. So for instance, in the US, before we were measuring regulations that apply to New York City, now we're also covering LA, or in China, before we were just measuring Shanghai, now we're also measuring Beijing, and in India, we were measuring Mumbai, now we're also measuring Delhi, just as a few examples. And that also brought a lot of insights about where do regulations vary within one country. And so there are certain areas, more of legal nature, such as protecting investors or getting credit, that the variation within a country is very small or in existence. In other areas, such as obtaining a construction permit, so dealing with construction permits, or starting a business, or connecting to electricity, that have a much more local flavor to it, and so they do vary sometimes considerably within a country. Although the variation that exists within a country is normally smaller than the variation that exists across countries. So those were the changes in the methodology. In terms of the actual findings that we have for this year, one is in line with what we've been finding in the past few years, that countries are interested in this area and they are reforming in this area. So we recorded 230 reforms this year for across 123 economies out of the 129 that we do cover in the report. Most of those reforms were in starting a business, so that out of the 10 topics, the one with a highest incidence of reform is starting a business, and then the next one is paying taxes, followed normally by either registering property or trading across borders. So those are the second and third normally every year that have a highest incidence of reforms. The other important aspect is on who reform, which regions or countries are also improving the most. And this year there was very high significant improvements in Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. Traditionally, it's Eastern Europe and Central Asia that have the highest improvements, but this year We see a lot of improvement also in Africa, which is an area that a region that is traditionally lagging behind in their business regulations, but they're making an effort to improve. And also, in addition to these findings that come out directly from the data and the variation over time, we also do find, using the new data that looks at aspects of more regulatory quality, that actually efficiency and quality when it comes to regulations, on average, they go hand in hand. So countries that have a more efficient regulatory system also tend to provide better quality of regulations to businesses, because that's within the areas that we measure.
Excellent. Well, that's a really good starting point for our conversation. That's all the time we have today. More details on the report are, of course, available on the World Bank website, and you can use the URL on the screen behind me if you're interested in learning more about the report. In the meantime, please join us tomorrow as we continue our discussion with Rita about the World Bank's Doing Business 2015 report. And for our latest schedule of upcoming episodes, subscribe to us with any of the links below and bookmark this page. All of our previous webcasts can be found right here at thinkglobal.com/webcast. And thanks for watching.